They say secrets are easier to keep when no one cares enough to look at you. Too bad he was looking at me like I'd just grown horns out of my skull. Or maybe because I almost had. The air in Crescent Hollow carried the heavy smell of rain-soaked asphalt and fried food from the diner down the block. Streetlights flickered, buzzing like they were about to give out. And there he stood, leaning against his motorcycle like some goddamn movie-clichéd monster hunter everyone whispered about. The guy with a smirk sharp enough to cut glass and eyes that felt like they could strip you bare. And me? I was just a 21-year-old barista, with too many shadows following me home at night. A young witch pretending to be human in a town that hated magic. One wrong slip and I'd end up in a shallow grave or worse, in his hands. "Something about you doesn't add up," he said, his voice calm but biting, like a knife pressed against skin without breaking it. I forced a smile. "Maybe I'm just really bad at math." His lips twitched, almost amused, almost dangerous. He didn't laugh. He just kept watching me, like I was a puzzle he was one piece away from solving. "My name is Elias. I wasn't supposed to be here. Witches weren't supposed to live in places like Crescent Hollow. Not after the hunts began again. But I'd run far enough, hidden long enough, and I'd started to believe I could fake being normal. That illusion was crumbling fast thanks to him. The hunter's name was Asher. Arrogant, sure. Brutal when he needed to be. But there was something else about him that unsettled me more than his silver blades or the whispers about his past. It was the way he looked at Menet, just with suspicion, but with something softer buried underneath. Something that made me want to run toward him just as much as I wanted to run away. The first time we touched was an accident. He'd grabbed my wrist in the middle of Main Street, pulling me back from a truck that nearly flattened me. His grip was strong, grounding, and for the smallest, most dangerous moment, I wanted him to never let go. But when he did, his eyes flicked down, and I realized too late the faint shimmer of runes had flickered beneath my skin, visible only for a second. His expression had changed. That was the beginning of the end. Rain fell harder that night, drenching the streets. I ducked into the alley behind the coffee shop, muttering under my breath as I pressed my hand to the glowing marks on my wrist. I should have run, left town before suspicion became certainty. But running meant starting over again. And I was so damn tired off running. A shadow fell over me. I turned, already knowing who it was. Asher. He didn't speak right away. Just stood there, rain dripping from his hair, his leather jacket soaked through. Those piercing blue eyes locked on me like a predator cornering prey. "You're hiding something," he said quietly, his voice low enough to be swallowed by the storm. I met his gaze, forcing defiance into mine even as my pulse hammered. "Everyone's hiding something. Not like you." His hand reached out again, slower this time, deliberate. He touched my wrist, and though I wanted to yank it away, I didn't. The runes pulsed faintly under my skin, answering his touch. His eyes widened just slightly, but he didn't recoil. Instead, his thumb brushed the marks, almost gently. "You should be afraid of me," he whispered. "I am," I admitted, voice raw. "That doesn't mean I want to be." For a moment, silence stretched between us, thick with something unspoken. He was the hunter. I was the hunted. It should have been simple. But nothing about the way he looked at me was simple. By the time dawn came, I thought maybe he would have turned me in. Instead, he showed up at the cafe, leaning against the counter like nothing had happened. "Coffee," he said, smirking. "And maybe some answers." I glared at him, but my hands still shook as I made his drink. The other customers had no idea they were sitting near a man who'd probably killed more monsters than they could imagine. And me, the monster he hadn't killed yet. "You really think you can keep following me around?" I hissed under my breath as I slid the cup toward him. He leaned closer, eyes glinting. "I don't think. I know." Something in my chest twisted. I should hate him. I should fear him. Instead, every glance, every word from him made the walls around me crack. I'd spent years trying to hide who I was, terrified of being found. And yet, with him, being seen felt less like a death sentence and more like a dangerous kind of freedom. That night, the storm broke. Literally. A shriek echoed through the woods beyond town. Something not human. The kind of thing hunters like Asher lived for and witches like me were blamed for. People gathered on porches, murmuring about omens, about curses. And of course eyes turned toward me. Asher found me before the others did. He dragged me into the shadows, jaw tight, his hand gripping mine like steel. "You need to tell me the truth, Elias," he said, urgency laced with anger. "If you know what's out there." "I didn't summon it," I snapped. "I would never." My voice broke. "I'm not like that." His eyes searched mine, fierce and unyielding, and then softer, almost pleading. "Then let me help you." For the first time, the arrogance slipped. What was left was raw, almost vulnerable. I stared at him, rain soaking us both again, fear warring with a desperate hope I hadn't dared feel in years. He was supposed to be my enemy, but in that moment, I wanted to believe he could be something else. The woods burned with silver light as the creature tore through the trees. My magic pulsed, desperate to break free. But if I unleashed too much, the town would know exactly what I was. My disguise, my fragile life Hirite would all be gone. "Asher, you can't fight it alone," I warned, voice shaking. His blade gleamed, his chest heaving with determination. "Then don't let me fight it alone." The monster lunged. I raised my hands, runes flaring in my skin, every secret I had fought to bury blazing into the open. The storm of power that left me felt like tearing myself apart. It struck the beast, throwing it back in a burst of white fire. But it wasn't enough. My knees buckled, the world spinning, until I felt arms catch me. Strong, steady. "Stay with me, Elias," he growled, holding me against his chest. "Don't you dare leave me now." I could barely breathe. My disguise had shattered. The whole truth burned between us. Yet when I looked up, waiting for the hatred in his eyes, I found only fire. Not the kind that destroys, but the kind that warms, that protects. The battle felt endless, but together his blade, my magic brought the monster to its knees. My strength failed before the end, but Asher's didn't. He drove the silver through its chest, and the forest fell silent. I expected him to drop me then, to recoil, to call me what I was. A witch, a danger, a lie. Instead, his hand lingered at the back of my neck, grounding me. "You should kill me," I whispered. His jaw clenched. "Don't ever say that again." I stared at him, trembling. "I'm the thing you hunt." "No," he said fiercely. "You're the one I found." The words carved through me, deeper than any blade. My chest ached, but for once it wasn't from fear. When we staggered back to town, whispers already filled the streets. People saw the glow still burning faintly in my skin, the way Asher's arm never left my shoulders. They knew, and in Crescent Hollow that kind of knowing could kill. Someone shouted, "Witch!" The crowd stirred, fear twisting into anger. I braced myself for the stones, the shouts, the exile. But before the first voice rose again, Asher stepped forward, blade still slick with blood, his body a wall between me and them. "He saved your lives tonight," Asher said, his voice a thunderclap. "If you come for him, you come through me." The silence that followed was heavy, electric. No one dared step closer. Later, in the quiet of his small cabin at the edge of town, I sat by the fire, wrapped in a blanket that smelled faintly of leather and smoke. My hands still shook, but not from magic. From everything I'd almost lost and everything I had found instead. He sat across from me, bandaging his arm, watching me like I might vanish if he blinked. "You're insane," I whispered half to myself. "Maybe," he admitted, a wry smile tugging at his lips. "But I don't regret it." I swallowed hard. "You should. Being with might paints a target on your back." He leaned forward, voice low, certain. "Then let them aim. I'd rather be hunted with you than safe without you." Something inside me cracked open then, something I'd locked away for years. The fear was still there, but it was drowned out by the warmth flooding in, the reckless hope his words lit inside me. When he reached for me, I didn't pull away. His hand cupped my face, rough from battles, steady despite the tremor in me. Our foreheads touched first, breath mingling in the small space between us. And when his lips finally met mine, it wasn't fire or lightning. It was something softer, something I hadn't believed I'd ever be allowed to have. Home. Days passed. The town still whispered, still looked at me with fear. But every time they did, they saw him too standing at my side, unyielding, daring them to try. Slowly, the anger dimmed. Slowly, the fear dulled. And slowly, I let myself believe in a life not built on running. One evening, as the sun bled gold across the horizon, I found him fixing his bike in front of the cabin. He looked up when I stepped outside, his smile small but real. "You're staring," he teased. I rolled my eyes, but couldn't stop smiling. "I'm allowed to." "Damn right you are." He wiped his hands, came over, and pulled me against him with a gentleness that still undid me every time. His chin rested atop my head, his breath warm against my hair. "I thought you were my enemy," I murmured. He kissed the crown of my head. "Guess you were wrong." I tilted my face up, meeting his eyes, the hunter who should have destroyed me, the man who had saved me instead. "Guess I was." And when he kissed me again, with no storm, no fear, no lies left between us, I finally let myself believe that maybe, just maybe, I wasn't doomed to always be the hunted. Maybe, with him, I could finally be free. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe to stay updated with the latest videos.